Welcome to this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through the industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have Vickie Helm, CEO of Smart Group Firm, co-CEO of Metadigm Digital Network, and she is an acclaimed best-selling, international best-selling author of over 40 books. She's also the host of the popular Coffee Break show with Vickie Helm, and she herself is with us here at the moment. Welcome to the show, Vickie.
I'm really excited to be here, AJ. I can't wait to unpack the topic, and thank you for inviting me onto your show. I appreciate it.
You are welcome. You are welcome to the show. You are welcome to India, and I'm sure a lot of learning will be had by the audience from you. So my first question, we'll be talking about conscious business, conscious wealth. But my first question, not a question, some sort of I'm quite enamored, and you can say quite impressed and inspired. Though I don't know whether if I'll be able to write even one book. How have you been able to write over 40 books, and so many of them international bestsellers?
Thank you. I started a couple of decades ago. It wasn't like I did them all in a week or so. Been writing for quite a while. I write every single day of my life that, I work. And what I really have been done is just I've made it a habit, and thus it's gotten easier and easier and easier. And you get faster at it after a time. And I have a system for when I write a book. I make the book outline first, and then I can just write right through it as well. So, it just takes a little bit of practice, and then voila. And I got to tell you, AJ, along with writing books, there are people. I'm an average writer. There's like, you know, Joe Vitale. He's written 90 books, 90, and I'm like, okay, so I'm half of what he's written.
Right, right. Everybody inspires in their own way. And right now, you are the biggest inspiration in front of me in terms of a inspiring author. And
Thank
lot
you.
of this writing is about money, Vicky, if I am correct.
Yeah. I write
Yeah.
about business development, money, and I do write about spirituality too as well, but business and money, yes.
Yes, yes. And when we talk of business and money, I see you have a degree in accounting and finance, and also graduated from the Barbara Brennan School of Healing.
That's right.
Means I'm intrigued by these two aspects of your learning, of your education. On one side, you have degree in accounting and finance, as well as this healing part. How did it happen? Did it happen by chance, or did you go for it? Means I haven't met many people doing these things together. It's quite something to be taken note of.
Well, thank you for that because one of the two things I wrote my thesis for Barbara Brennan on business and spirituality because although most of the world still holds them separately, what ends up happening is that we really are, when we talk about spirituality and business, a business definitely reflects where you are, where you're stuck. Like the AJ, the second that you decide, oh, I got an idea and I want to start a business. The first thing that's going to show up with your idea is the thing that has been blocking you your whole life. And so, what's great about business is that business is the ability to be clear with yourself and actually take a look at the things that have been blocking you and work through them while you make money doing it. To me, it's just a great way to be, where you can do both. But spirituality and business, I think, go together. And I think the lack of that understanding really sometimes harms business because business and entrepreneurship is a vehicle to do good in the world. And if we lose that, we can enrich ourselves by not doing good in the world, or maybe harming the world or harming people in the world. And to me, that's the thing that developed. And when I realized that business and spirituality went together, it just kind of opened me up. And right away, I saw Barbara Brennan, and I loved her work because spirituality to me is very much about energy and the perspective that you can hold with your energy as well.
Right, right, Vicky. That's very nice of you to talk like that, and because you have seen life from very close. You all know about money. You know about good money. You also know about
Yeah,
not so good money,
that's
and
right.
amidst that environment that you had at home, where your parents were making not so good money in some way, which
That's
you have
right. You
spoken
read the
about.
book.
Yeah, you have in that environment
Yeah,
when you could educate yourself and educate not only about money but also about spirituality speaks a lot about you as an individual, a lot
thank
about
you.
you as somebody who is fit to be a master for a lot of people. And that is why we are talking today, Vicky, and that is where you are also the right person to talk about conscious business and conscious wealth. So coming to this topic of conscious business, conscious wealth, help us our audience understand what exactly do you mean by conscious business and conscious wealth.
Thank you, AJ. I do want to address a couple of things. First off, I want to go back to the part where that conscious business comes from. So, you obviously have read the book, The Cash Flow Mojo: How to Get Rich, Stay Rich, and Become Financially Independent. Now, in that book, I talk about how my parents made their money illegally. So, they made their money via uh, creating and selling drugs. First, it was marijuana, then it was cocaine and things like that. And I grew up in this and I was like, okay, I don't want to be that. So I swung the other way. That's why I got a degree in accounting and finance. And I worked several years in accounting and finance in there and learned that there is just as much corruption on this side as there is on this side. And I started looking like in the United States, the 2008 financial crash was caused by people who put out really, I'm going to use the word marginal contracts. And really, the investor and the homeowner both got cheated. They got lied to. They were completely, was everything was fraudulent. And I realized, okay, here's this legal way to steal money from people, and here's this illegal way to make money from people. And they're both, I looked at it and I was like, okay, it boils down to you being conscious about your business and what you do. So part of me left this because I thought it was terrible. And part of me wanted no part of what my family's business was, obviously. And so what happened for me was I made a choice that I realized it comes down to you how you do business, whether it's really ethical or whether you're nickel and diming somebody or whether you're driven or a fraudulent liar or whatever it is that you do. It's you who's doing it. And when I thought about conscious business, it's also consciousness in business that's important to me as well. It's not just don't harm the earth, don't harm people, don't harm, and make profits. It's really about you being consciousness in business in a way that's beneficial for humanity, not where you're trying to strife the planet, strife the people so that your pockets are lined with their wealth and you've gained it in a marginal way, hurting people. And there's still that kind of business around in the world. There's still scams. There's still people trying to rip off people. And, it's going to go until we bring consciousness and conscious wealth into business. There is some thought that people must have who do business badly. And the thought must be, I can't get wealthy unless I screw somebody over or unless I steal from them. That must be the thought they have in their head. Like, I'm not good enough to be wealthy if I do something equal. And in the United States, if you do something that way, it's terrible because right now, we have opportunities that most countries, most people don't even have. And there's a lot of things you can do to, get your business off the ground where it serves somebody.
Right, right, Vicky. It's just a nice idea, nice thought, and this is how it should be. But let's look at the solution. Is it for a common person or for an entrepreneur who wants to start a business or who is into the whole system of this, people trying to make use of people and situations
Yeah.
even in businesses. Now, how does a simple person start on by getting onto the right side? Are there any easy solutions for that? Because even if you try to do, and a lot of people are very true to themselves in terms of innovations, in terms of bringing out something new, but there are also the big sharks who are perhaps at one point in time they started at innocent, but then they have built a system like this. So amidst all these systems which are trying to please the common man and a
Yeah.
lot of innocent people, how does one still try to have a conscious business and create conscious wealth? Are there any
Thank
easy
you.
solutions?
That's a great question. I think this is one of the best questions ever. And for me, now that I've done it and, I've made mistakes along the way and screwed it up, had to start all over and keep going. To me, what I would say to anybody who's starting out right now, it doesn't matter where you are, you want to build an audience first around you and your message and your vision. And you want to tell people what is your message and what is your vision. So for me, my message is I love to turn information into transformation. In other words, I want to give somebody the ability to transform in such a way that it benefits whatever they're trying to build or whatever they're trying to do. And I want to help 20 million people. Well, 20 million people is a lot. That's my vision. My mission is to help 20 million founders get what they want essentially and help that happen. So once you understand that, you want to start doing exactly what you're doing. When I get on my show, when I write books, all day long, I'm putting content out to the world. That's all I do. Here's a tip, here's a hint, here's what you got to do. And that's where you want to begin because what's missing now, because of all of this, I'll call it corruption. I'll call it corruption. Because of all of this corruption, people don't know who to trust. And that when you bring a product into market, even now, it's like even the big CEOs. So Elizabeth, I can't remember her last name, but she was a fraudulent CEO telling people about her company that could take a drop of blood that would
Right.
do all these tests and everything else. And it was just a big scam. So even then, people don't know who to believe. So the first key thing that you have to do is give them a reason to trust you and not a hypothetical reason, a consistent reason. So when you have your own show or you're putting out content every day or you're helping the everyday guy, giving your best tips, giving your best information to them so that they can succeed, then you're building a relationship. And trust is very fragile right now around the world. It doesn't matter what country you're in. They have divided us. They've created distrust is so thick that you can't just bring your product and go, here, buy this, and everybody's going to buy it. You have to build the kind of relationship over time, consistently, forever and ever and ever. And if you get to the point where you screwed something up, you got to say, I screwed that up, guys. But you want to build a tribe, build an audience, build your message and build your vision and give it out to a bunch of people. Here's what I want everyone to know, though, AJ. Number one, somebody is looking for your message. Somebody is looking for your topic. They're out right now on some form of social media, whether it's TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, wherever it is, Spotify, Pandora. They are using everything. They're listening to everything to find your message. And if you're not putting your message out every single day, multiple times a day on multiple platforms, because they don't know where you are. They could look for you on Google, then they could look for you on YouTube, then they could look for you wherever they're looking for you. You want to be there, whether it's LinkedIn or whatever media form there is. And the thing about that is, if you have a great product, don't talk about how great your product is. Make sure you're talking about the problem it solves and why it solves that problem and how much better their life will be if they have this solution. You really want to be able to sell that. And the other thing is, every time that you're an entrepreneur right now, I think of myself as a servant. The servant really to the divine first, the divine servant. What do you want me to bring to the world? What's the message? What's the product or service? And to be of service to a group of people. And over time, that group of people is going to grow and grow and grow and grow. But it happens over time. It doesn't happen overnight. And you have to remember that this now, with this lack of trust, the most consistent and the longest player, those are the people who are going to win. So the three things you're going to be doing is, you have to go build a bridge from distrust to trust. Distrust to trust. And the way you do that is to build a tribe, get your message out, tell them what your vision is, tell them what you're trying to solve, tell them what problem you want to go ahead and change in the world. Let them and you build a relationship to them. Give them freebies, get their email address. That's a very big asset to build right now, is an email address. But it's not just about opening your shop up and being online and just saying, here, buy this, and everybody goes, okay. That's not how today is. And I hope that answered your question, specifically building wealth.
Right. Yes, yes, indeed, Vicky. Now, to a lot of people who, and especially young people who may be, a bit despondent or have become cynical with the way the system has presented itself to them. Maybe this is the way they have designed it, a corrupt system, and that is how they can steal money from
Yeah.
everybody else and through even the right people. A lot of these people, uh, they become part of their system. Like, for example, a lot of people who want to start a business, either a big company, they have a good idea, some bigger firm will buy them and close
Yeah.
that business because they want to maintain that monopoly. Another thing is, they have pushed this big idea of retiring at 30, 25. Maybe they will start talking about retiring at 20. You have a pot of gold, hit the jackpot, and then there is this world floating,
Yeah.
is the unicorn. Let's build a unicorn, and then that game of valuation begins, and a lot of people
Yeah.
fall for that. The one reason is that there is so much of insecurity, this word called insecurity, and everybody is looking for security in finance, in terms of money, so that they can, as you truly say, that you hustle, have that money, invest somewhere, and you dream of sitting somewhere far away in a beachside house, sitting in a beach, enjoying your life, see
Yeah.
your money grow and do nothing. And that is the type of system that has been built today.
Yep.
Amid this system, how does one still create their own identity? Secondly, if it's like the taste of the pudding lies in its eating, how are you doing it? You have got three companies. Two I already talked about: Smart Group Firm, Metadigm Digital Network, and now I see Helm Media and Publishing. So how do you do this within your system so that people know that you are walking the talk?
It's so interesting because the way through the situation that you talk to, or talk about is to experience it. And I know this very personally because I was sold that dream in the beginning too. You want to build the company and you want to hurry up and sell it. You want to get the big bucks. Then all you're doing is playing all day. Well, what ends up happening when you're on your journey there, when you're on the journey to go ahead and build that company, get it sold, get that big one lump sum payday so that you can take your time off. I say take your time off. Go ahead, because what you're going to find when you do this is what I found when it happened to me. What happens is you're pretty much a lone wolf because everybody else is working, including these people are working here. But now working isn't painful anymore. It's not this painful thing where you have a crappy boss who's yelling at you all the time and pushing you and doing all those things. What you get is choices. But what happens to somebody who's truly passionate, which is what you have to be to build something that big, to stay with it long enough, to put all the systems in place to make that business sellable and something that somebody else wants? You transform in that process. You think you're freeing yourself, but suddenly when you free yourself and you're out there, the creativity person that you've become starts looking for something else, another thing that it can do. And you think in the beginning, I think I took 2.5 years of doing anything I want. But then I was like, yeah, I got to get into something else. I got to have something to do. What happens then is your mindset is shifted. Instead of it trying to be a goal that you hit, you start thinking, what can I do to serve humanity? And that shift right there, if you start with that shift, great job. But once you get that shift, once that happens for you, that shift, you become a servant in the world. This is where change makers, world thought leaders come from. They've already looked at, and all of a sudden you look at your community and you're like, how can I serve them better? How can I make this better? And then you have choices. Your mindset about what you're doing is shifting. So managing companies or investing in companies, like there are people I know who have 15 companies. I only have 3. And they're easy to CEO once you've been there. Some investors I know, some with 30 companies, some with 15 companies, some with 50. I'm not sure I want that. What I want to do is still maintain contact with people and say, are you struggling here? Here's what I did, and it worked for me. And I hope it works for you. When I want that conversation to continue. But I think what happens is, I think everybody should experience it. It's like when you cross the finish line with your first business, celebrate. Don't go crazy. Don't be stupid because you'll be broke after that. If you do, don't celebrate. Take some time off. Yes, I closed it, etc. But don't go out and hi, I now go get my McMansion and my Lamborghinis and everything else. That's stupid. Later, when you get them, you're going to be like, okay, so I have them. I remember at one point, AJ, I had 6 homes, 6. And I was like, well, I can only live in one at a time. Why do I have 6? And so I was thinking to myself, what do I really want? Well, I downsized from these enormous homes down to this tiny little cozy mountain home. That's what I wanted. That's what I really wanted. And now I had more money to invest and do other businesses with. And I find that so satisfying. You think partying and making that cut that first time, you'll be like, yay, I did it. Oh my God, I'm finally somebody. And you realize you aren't somebody. You have abilities, you have follow through, you have creativity, but you're not somebody just because you got the money or you got success or you sold that company. If you're looking at it to make your self-esteem better, you're going to turn into an arrogant jerk. You want to be somebody who's take the time off, go travel the world, do what you want to do. When you come back, you'll be like, now what? And when you say now what, You're asking the divine for a mission, and that mission will show up. That next now what thing will be right in front of your face.
Wonderful, well put, Vicky. And I'm sure a lot of people will get some perspective out of their busy lives, out of their lives, which is perhaps too much influenced by a lot of people. It's difficult to stay uninfluenced in today's time. But I'm sure even good voices have a lot of influence, and voices like yours, will certainly have a lot of influence. And that's why we are talking to you today.
Thank
You are
you.
the master of this masterclass. Now, coming to the future of then wealth creation, how do you see this future in terms of wealth creation? How will wealth creation happen going forward? Will it continue to be the way it has been happening, especially in the last 15 years, or will it change for the better? How do you see it?
Thank you for this. Wealth creation is in a vast transformation right now, one of the biggest transformations in world history. And there are going to be some opportunities that most people will bypass because they're looking for stuff that is trendy and fashionable and, something that makes them look hip or look cool. And what happens is they miss opportunities because they're not looking for what's going to be happening in the future. So I'm going to give you three off the top of my head. Our financial world is going through a huge transformation. And I think that if you're looking for opportunities in finance as well, you're going to be up against the fintech area. And I think we're going to see big changes coming up with NFTs or non fungible tokens. I believe that cryptocurrencies are going to be there because the world is adopting them there. I think we're going to see some shift in energy between oil and brick nations, etc. The number one thing I think that is going to be shifting everything is climate change. And climate change has gotten to the point where people are looking at the horrendous damage that has been done to the planet, and they're recycling, reusing, reimagining what plastic can do and trying to gather it and clean up. So I think the regenerative economy is going to be huge. And I think the simplicity of owning certain types of farms that are inexpensive, like microgreen farms, I think those are going to be incredible. And mushroom farms, the whole mushroom growth is going to be a superfood that comes out. It's going to be big. And these are businesses that are easy to maintain, easy to start, inexpensive to start, and will help heal the planet and help heal the community, etc. Microgreens, really big business here and really a good way to profit from it. If you're looking at online businesses, AI is transforming everything we do. And I will tell you this right now, AJ, all of AI looks really sexy and really incredible. But you know how they have stamps on goods like made in China or made in America or made in, it's going to later be asked, is this AI made or human made? Because the human
Right.
made is going to be originality. And AI is going to be the companion to. And so the question is, don't give up your originality. Don't give up your creativity because later it's going to be made by human, 100% human. Just like it's 100% made in America, 100% made in France, 100% made in India, wherever it is going to turn that for a while. And people are going to say, okay, the novelty of AI is here. It's going to infuse. We're going to use it. It's going to be there, but don't lose yourself to that. I also think, virtual reality is another thing that's going to be shifting. But those vastly different areas, those are the key areas you want to pay attention to and start. And I think the best thing, like if I were starting all over from scratch right now, starting all over, I would buy a farm and make that farm a complete, perennial farm that orchards or things that grew and etc. And I would be putting and selling food to stores because there's going to be a lot of profit in that. I would do farms, microgreens, and then I would flip and I would do an online kind of business, publishing, media, YouTube channel, whatever you want to do. And I would be investing in this is what I would do. I'd be investing in some of the fintech right now to carry that through. And also, I'd be investing in gold and silver, some of the mainstays that we have, and investing in water and land and everything else. And I would try to have a balance of what's online and what's offline. And that's the two things I would do. And nobody thinks, oh my God, being a farmer is sexy. I want to be a farmer. But at the same time, now that's what I do. I have an online business. I have 3 companies, and I have a sustainable farm that is on the land of my own property as well. I've grown that out and built that out because that's going to be part of it. Food is not going to be, it's going to get expensive over time, and we need to go ahead and prepare for supplying our own food when we need it, if we want fresh, healthy food.
Right, Vicky. Right. You have given a very deep insight and perspective to a whole new generation, I'm sure, because they will, especially those people who are going to start anything right now. So, three things here, Vicky, is that one is that will it happen? All these changes, the positive changes, will what will be the role of politics and politicians here? Because they will always fight for their own ground, especially along with big money power
Yes.
and businesses. So what is there?
Yeah.
Will they go down so easily, or will it be a fight? And these changes will happen in spite of whatever they do, despite whatever they try, these things. And secondly, a lot of women are coming up into every area of life globally. It is the time for them.
Yeah.
And when it is like, you know what, as you start and somebody shifts the goalpost, what would you tell them to how exactly approach the times that have already started for them globally?
Thank you.
How do they prepare not only for now, but also for the future, which is unraveling and which they have to be a part of, big part of this system?
Okay. Thank you.
How do
Thank
you
you.
look at it? And secondly, along with that, because they are so interrelated, is that the what would you advise to the young generation, again especially to women, about this type of skill sets that you see will be required in the coming days, how they can be prepared with them, how they can discover those skill sets, if they don't have, how they can learn those skills for themselves, and
Yeah.
then embrace the future that is to enter.
That's great. So I love that you've given me the platform to talk to these women, and thank you for that. Thank you. There's a couple of things I wanted to say to all my girlfriends out there who are, stepping up into leadership. The first thing is nobody is going to give you permission. Nobody is going to invite you to the table. Nobody is going to ordain you and say, now you are capable of doing this. Nobody's coming along to do that. What's going to be important for you to know, and I want to write this down, is that you need to step into that role because you feel passionate about it. There isn't going to be any leaders out there right now. And here's what's important to know. This is so important to know. Someone who is an expert has 10, 20 years plus, and everything right now is so new. There aren't a lot of experts. And there's going to be a lot of us that are retiring from these positions. And we have and want to pass on our knowledge to you. We want to give it to you all. And you're going to have to use discernment moving forward because some of what we're going to tell you applies, and a lot of it is not going to apply. It's a new world, but the key is you're building this new world, not us. You're building this new world. So it means you've got to trust yourself. You've got to trust your gut. You got to step up to the table because it's what you want to do. People are not going to want to just usher you up. You're going to have to work hard, prove yourself, and have good boundaries. And that, what I mean by good boundaries is don't let people walk on you or walk over you. And you want to listen and be kind and be constantly educating yourself. But right now, that step ladder is harder than it was for me. And I want to be honest. When I was coming up, the path was all set out for me. It said, step here, do this, do that, do this, and you'll get there. And that's not what's happening right now. Right now, there's the most uncertainty and unknowns in the world than we've ever had before. So, whatever you're doing, however you do it, you want to keep your awareness and your mindfulness and your heart present because you cannot, and I repeat, you cannot just think your way through everything. Sometimes thinking is not the answer. It's that gut feeling and following your heart. And some of that is going to happen because some of the foundations are being ripped up, reimagined, and remodeled by your generation. And the last thing I want you to know is I believe in you. You women are smart, smarter than anyone, smart, and you're talented. And most of the time, you don't believe in yourself. You just listen to that inner critic bouncing off your ear or that imposter syndrome that you feel. Go past that. Those will die off and shut up after you continue to say, I'm in charge, not you. Just keep going. I'm proud of you. I believe in you.
Right, Vicky. Right. And so, in future, not so far away, what will be the currency of wealth? What will be wealth creation in real? How do you see that?
Thank
What
you.
will be wealth in the coming days?
There's going to be definitely at least two types of wealth. There's going to be physical wealth, which is, I'll talk about a minute, and then digital wealth. The digital wealth that is going to be the best is for you to have an audience as big as you can grow it, an audience of people. That's the biggest wealth. And an email list. The email list is going to be the biggest wealth. Your credibility is going to be another form of wealth. Your credibility online, who you're known for. So, right now, what I would caution everybody against is corruption is about to have a great big death. And those people who are hustling, who are lying or cheating, are about to get a very big wake up call. The reason is because blockchain and AI are about to cut that off at the knees. And so there's going to be a lot of disruption where some people are going to die. But those people who have built trust, build an audience, do that first, build your email online. That's going to be currency. And I mean big time wealth for you. So in the physical world, what is going to be your physical personality world? Your ability to keep up with technology and continuously learn so you're one step ahead of the tribe that you've built, that's going to be a big deal. And what I would consider also on the digital side, digital currencies, EFTs are coming. Those things are going to be, they're here now. There's a whole thing. It's not going away. It's going to grow. The next thing are online are domains. Domains are real estate. It's like buying a house online. How many houses do you own online? And your online businesses, all of those online businesses, you want to get started now. Offline, wherever you are, we're going to go through climate change. And one of the biggest things is going to be wherever you are, you're going to need to have an offline business and an online business. So, if I've had friends who have had online businesses and I've watched their entire communities get destroyed. So I've watched the fire burn down houses and buildings and banks. And the thing that happens when you have these big climate change issues is your entire life stops because your grocery store is gone and your gas station is gone and the place you banked at is gone and your healthcare provider is gone. And if you can't leave and you can't move, if you don't have another way of moving yourself out, you're stuck there. And that's like all you're dependent on is government help, which, as most of us know, is pretty marginal. Doesn't matter what country you're in, it's marginal. So, what you want to be able to do is give yourself mobility. So, if you have a farm and everything's going great, you have that farm, you make your own food, blah, blah, blah. If you have that online business means online banks. You can be anywhere in the world at that point. You have your online bank, your online business, and your online money. Then you have your offline place. So if something happened, you would be able to move, get out of town, and go somewhere and take care of yourself. And both of those options you want to really make a play for as well. So, if you have a business that is like a tea shop or a coffee shop or a restaurant or whatever it is, and it gets washed away, what's your plan B income? And you want something that's going to cash flow for you night and day, just cash flow for you, whether you're asleep or you're awake, and have that money be somewhere else other than the bank that could be washed down the river with what's coming. And you want to have all kinds of currency. So the way I have it is you have online influence currency, credibility online, that's currency. Gold and silver, whatever it is, that's currency. You can have, you know, I don't think money or cash is fiat currency. It's not the kind of currency, it's just like trading stamps. I'll trade you this for that, and here's the cash. That's it. And you want more assets. You want to buy assets. Don't buy shoes and boots and cars and boats, and don't buy debt. Buy assets right now. When you're young, the assets have time to grow and build. I'm living off all the assets that I've had growing for 30 years now. And so you definitely want to be able to take a look at how you're building your future and give yourself two things: mobility, mobility, and cash flow. That's the future.
Wonderful, wonderful. You have means I'm just listening to what you are saying, Vicky, and trying to absorb as much as possible. I will certainly listen to this again and again, because right now I have to listen and also ask questions. And one more question that I wanted to ask is this: how will this term called investing exist in the coming days? Will it be about Wall Street? Will it be our startups, angel investing, and all that, and Series A and Series B and all that investing? How will that exist for common people like us?
For common people, now that's a different question. Um, Investing has layers. There's investing um, at the market level, which is I'm investing in my retirement account or I'm investing in a 401k or whatever. I think this right here is very unsafe. And usually most people lose their money. So then there's the next investing, which is to me learning to invest small. I don't care how broke you think you are right now. Everybody can be and start to become an investor. The way I started when I was younger, because, I wasn't really making a lot of money when I was in high school, going to college. I worked at a McDonald's and, wasn't a lot of money. So I put $25 a week into my retirement account. And then I bought silver because silver was inexpensive. And back then, I think we got it for, I don't know, 350. I think the most I've ever paid for silver is $6.50. I mean, that's US. But you can buy silver, junk silver is what I would buy because it's least expensive. But then you're turning your money into something that's going to grow over time in investment. And that's like the first step into that. Then the next thing that I invested in was myself. The next investment for the average person is to grab yourself a skill set that's going to make you money, not a skill set you're passionate about, a skill set that will make you money. And I want to tell you what my mentor told me in my book, Ultimate Freedom. In chapter 11, I talk about my mentor and what he told me. And the reason what he told me made me wealthy is because I followed it. And what he said to me was, if you do and get good at what people hate to do, you'll make a lot of money. And he said, what do people hate to do in a bit in their business? They don't like to keep their books. They don't like to do the accounting or taxes. They don't like to make a business plan. They don't like find out what they hate to do and get really good at doing that. And at first I was like, oh, God, I got to do all the things I hate to do. But then what happened was when I got really good at it, I was like, yeah, I really like to do this. I really like to do this. And so that's why attorneys get paid a lot of money, right? Because attorneys do a lot of the things that business owners don't like doing. They do my contract, do this, do make that. That's the whole point. If you do what people hate to do. So in an online business, people hate to do marketing. They hate to do design. They hate to do whatever they're doing. Get really good at it. Not pass, get really good at it. Stand out and do everything with a level of excellence. And that's the third way you become wealthy. You have to give yourself something that's going to make you stand out in the crowd, that you do well, that you can charge a lot of money for because you're skilled at it and you deliver really well on that. Then the fourth thing is when you start making that money, start investing in cash flows. And those are different. You want to find cash flow veins. If you guys want a copy of my book, it's at smartcashflowbook.com and or on Amazon. I think it's free to people who are on the Amazon Ultimate or whatever it is. And then other than that, I knocked it to the lowest price I could. It's 99 cents. So you can go there and read about all the investments you can make. But investing has phases that you grow through. When you become an investor, and you're making a lot of money, I don't put it into markets. I don't trust the markets. I like to put it into businesses and things that are going to cash flow for me where I do not have to do the work. So I'm probably not going to ever own a restaurant. I owned an ice cream store one time, and that was a lot of work. I'll never have an ice cream store again. But a restaurant, yeah, no way. So that's kind of the thing I would look at. And then when you invest in businesses, you have to start investing in people. Your business needs people. And to get the top talent, the best people, you start investing in them. And they take your business to the next level. If you're lucky and you've sold your business and you have a lump sum of money, then you become a beginning investor. You're not some hot shot. Don't go out and, hey, I'll invest in this and that, because you'll screw up. Just because you can run a business well doesn't mean you're a really great investor. This is where you get mentors along the way who teach you how to invest and look at companies and evaluate companies that are going to be good investments for you and make sure they're cash flowing, not profitable, cash flowing constantly. And that's the kind of thing that's going to be there. But here's your steps to being an investor. So you go from being not qualified, but investing in small things. Then here's the average person. Then here's the elite person. I hope that answered your question.
Absolutely, absolutely. And but there is always, you can only learn as much as you is possible in this show. So for more, they will have to come to you directly, and that is where how can they connect with you, and also they can learn a lot from your coffee break show with you. How do they learn from there? How do they connect with you?
Well, it's super easy. There's VickieHelm.com, and it's VickieHelm.com. I also want to shout out, if you're in India, I'm on the Mensa app every Tuesday, teaching class in Mensa for that. And I have 40 books out. Go to Amazon and, pick one and read. And if you are not on Mensa, it's Mentza, Mensa.
Yes.
you want to go download that app because that is a great learning platform, an exceptional learning platform. And the people on there are just, God, they melt my heart. It's really a wonderful place to be. So I'm on there on Tuesdays as well. And of course, every Wednesday in the United States, at really late time for those in India, there's the Coffee Break Show, but you can take a look at the Coffee Break Show anywhere. I'm on iHeartRadio, Pandora, Spotify, wherever it is. You can pull it up and just type the Coffee Break Show, and you can go through the Coffee Break Show as well.
Right, right, Vicky. My last question to you, Vicky, is that looking back at your life, looking at back at your the way your father and your parents did their work, their business, the way you had a very level-headed head on your shoulders, as well as a great heart to show you the right way towards. And now you are in a position to decide things for you. What is it after achieving so much, 40 plus books, three companies, so many brilliant ideas, showing the way towards the future, podcasts? Now, what is it that you seek for yourself going forward? How have you planned your future amidst showing the future to everybody else?
Thank you. Um, this is going to sound hokey and kind of stupid, but for me, the most important thing is to become a good human being, to become something that the divine is proud of, whatever God is. I don't want to disappoint him. And I think that it's the reason I have these successes isn't because I'm smart or I think well, is because I'm serving the divine. It's because I'm serving in a way where I know that I was born with intention by God. God, you're not here without an intention. And maybe you call it a purpose, but I call it an intention because what I have found is sometimes God has more than one purpose for you. And so maybe God has more than one intentions. But after you have tried everything and done everything, bought everything, experienced everything, at the end of the day, at the end of the journey, which my journey hasn't ended, the thing that you're seeking the most is freedom and love. And you're seeking God to, believe it or not, help guide you in that way, help that feel that connection. So for me, no matter what I do, if it's not ordained by the divine, then I don't do it. And so, and I've done that my whole life. My whole life, every business I've started, if it's not like God saying yes, it's no, no. And that's the way forward for me. And when all is said and done, you can't take any of the money with you. You can't take any of the toys with you. The only thing you can take with you is the level that your consciousness has grown, not how your level of thinking has grown, but your consciousness, right? And so that consciousness is my number one priority. That when I leave, I have grown it and maximized it as much as possible in a way that the divine says, yes, you did a good job. That's what I hope for.
On this note, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much indeed for joining us.